In the bustling city of Lagos, Tayo and Bisi had built a life together that many envied. They were young, educated, and ambitious. Having met in university, married shortly after, and now both working in high-paying jobs in the heart of the city. Tayo, an accountant, was meticulous and responsible, while Bisi, a marketing executive, was creative and full of energy. To those around them, they seemed the perfect couple, balancing their career dreams, a comfortable lifestyle, and a happy marriage. They lived in a 2-bedroom apartment in Lekki, with tasteful decorations and a large kitchen, where Bisi loved to cook on weekends. Their days were a pattern of early morning commutes, long work hours, and late-night conversations about everything from future investments to global news. They made time to laugh, shared ideas, and supported each other's dreams. And their friends always commented on how lucky they were to have each other. But something was amiss. As with many relationships, their issues didn't erupt in explosive arguments or betrayals. Rather, they grew in the silent spaces, the unspoken disappointments, and the tiny misunderstandings that never seemed worth addressing. Tayo had always been particular about managing their finances. He set budgets, tracked expenses, and insisted that they save a certain amount each month. It wasn't that they were struggling, but he wanted to build a future that allowed for luxuries like a new car, vacations abroad, and eventually a bigger home. Bisi, however, was more relaxed about money. She enjoyed spontaneous splurges, designer bags, dinners at fancy restaurants, and treating herself at the spa. To her, money was a means to enjoy life, not just to accumulate for some distant future. At first, Tayo would remind her gently, "We need to stick to the budget, Bisi," he'd say, forcing a smile. "If we keep spending like this, how will we meet our savings targets?" "Oh, relax, Tayo," she'd laugh, shrugging it off. "We work so hard. Don't we deserve to enjoy the fruits of our labor?" But over time, these moments became less playful and more tense. Tayo started pulling away, becoming more withdrawn, and Bisi felt it. She'd ask, "Is everything all right?" He'd nod and reply, "Just work stress." She sensed there was more, but she couldn't figure out what. Eventually, they stopped talking about their finances altogether, each choosing to manage in their own way. Tayo would secretly transfer more into their savings, while Bisi, frustrated by his apparent stinginess, would hide her purchases. It was as if a quiet resentment was brewing underneath their polished smiles, and neither knew how to address it. Then one day, Bisi attended a work seminar and was introduced to Tunji, a suave, successful entrepreneur. They struck up a friendly conversation that seemed harmless at first. Tunji's charisma and his easygoing nature reminded her of what she once loved in Tayo, and she found herself laughing more in his presence than she had in weeks. As the days went by, their conversations became a regular part of her day. He'd text her during lunch breaks, send good morning messages, and sometimes even call to share exciting news. She found herself eagerly awaiting those moments. Though she knew it was wrong, she justified it as just friendship. After all, they never discussed anything intimate, and she hadn't told Tunji anything about her struggles with Tayo. One Friday evening, Tunji invited her to a networking event. It's a great opportunity, Bisi. You'll meet some high-profile people. Plus, I'll be there to introduce you around, he said. Without thinking too much, she accepted, reasoning that Tayo often had his own networking dinners, so what harm could it do? That night, she dressed in her finest attire, feeling a thrill she hadn't experienced in a long time. The event was lavish, with well-dressed people from different sectors of Lagos business scene, mingling and sipping expensive wine. Tunji stayed by her side, introducing her to influential people who promised exciting collaborations. As the evening wore on, Tunji grew closer, gently resting his hand on her shoulder or leaning in to whisper a joke. She felt flattered, even desired, and for a moment, she almost forgot her life with Tayo. While Bisi was at the event, Tayo, exhausted from a long week, decided to unwind at home. As he was sorting through some documents in their shared home office, he noticed a bank statement that somehow slipped behind the desk. Curiosity got the better of him, and he picked it up. To his surprise, he saw several recent charges that seemed excessive. Spa appointments, luxury goods, and an unfamiliar restaurant bill. His heart sank, a mix of anger and betrayal. He felt as if he'd been taken for granted. His careful budgeting and savings dismissed as unimportant. Bisi, it seemed, was living a double life of sorts, hiding her spending and making choices without him. He decided he couldn't ignore it anymore. He had to confront her. When Bisi returned that night, Tayo was waiting in the living room. She walked in, startled to see him up so late, and her smile faded at the serious look on his face. Bisi, we need to talk, he said, his voice calm but laced with disappointment. He held up the bank statement. I found this. Bisi froze, her mind racing. She had known this moment would come eventually, but she hadn't prepared for it. Taking a deep breath, She began to explain her perspective, how she felt stifled by his constant financial restrictions, how she only wanted to enjoy life a little. Tayo listened, but he wasn't swayed. If we can't communicate openly about these things, what's the point of this partnership, Bisi? I thought we were a team. Feeling defensive, Bisi retorted, "And I thought you trusted me, Tayo. You don't understand me anymore. You don't see me." The words hung in the air, and both of them felt the weight of the years they'd spent together slowly fraying. They slept in separate rooms that night, each feeling hurt, misunderstood, and resentful. In Bisi's life, her best friend Dotu was her go-to confidant, the person she trusted with her secrets, frustrations, and dreams. Dotun was as close to her as a sister, someone who had seen her through thick and thin. Whenever Bisi felt overwhelmed, she would pick up her phone, knowing Dotu would understand without judgment. On Saturday afternoon, Bisi met Dotu at a cozy cafe in Victoria Island. She arrived looking weary, her usually bright eyes clouded with tension. Dotu, sensing her friend's mood, wrapped her in a warm hug and ushered her to a seat. "What's on your mind, Bisi? You've been so distant lately," Dotun asked, her voice gentle yet probing. Bisi sighed, stirring her coffee. "Dotun, I feel like my marriage is, I don't know, falling apart. Tayo's so focused on saving every kobo, while I just want us to enjoy a little of what we are working so hard for." Dotun nodded, listening carefully. "You've mentioned this before. He's always been the practical type. But have you both tried talking about it? Like really talking?" Bisi shook her head. "We do, but it always ends the same way. He thinks I'm careless, that I don't care about our future. And I feel like he's choking the life out of me with all these budgets and savings plans. It's exhausting." Dotun took a deep breath, choosing her words carefully. "Look, Bisi, relationships are tough, you know. Tayo isn't a bad guy. He's just different from you. Maybe it's about finding middle ground." Bisi sighed. "But that's the thing, Dotun. How much more middle ground do I have to give up? I feel like I'm losing myself, constantly compromising. I just wish he'd loosen up a little." Dotun leaned forward, looking her friend in the eye. "Bisi, have you ever told him this? Exactly how you're telling me now?" Men aren't mind readers, you know. Sometimes they need it spelled out. "I have, Dotun. I swear I have," Bisi replied, frustration bubbling over. But he doesn't listen. It's like he's so wrapped up in planning up for one day that he doesn't see that one day might never come. I mean, what if something happens tomorrow? We are young, but we are not invisible." Dotun's eyes softened. "I get it, Bisi. It's scary to think that way. But maybe Tayo feels responsible for your future, and he's scared too. In his own way. You've built something beautiful, but every relationship needs maintenance, even the good ones. Bisi looked away, her fingers tracing the rim of her coffee cup. I don't know, Dotun. There are days I feel so tempted to look for happiness elsewhere. I met someone at work. Nothing serious, just a friend. But he listens, Dotun. He actually listens. Dotun's expression changed, her tone becoming more serious. Be careful, Bisi. I know it feels good to have someone understand, especially when you are going through this. But you don't want to make decisions you will regret. Bisi sighed again, nodding. You are right. It's just, I feel like I'm starving for affection, for understanding. I love Tayo, I do. I just wish you could see that there's more to life than bank balances and planning for some far-off future. Dotun reached across the table and took Bisi's hand. If you love him, then you have to keep trying. Don't let the cracks get too wide. Talk to him as if it's your last chance to be truly honest. And Bisi, remember that sometimes our happiness isn't about what someone else gives us. It's about how we create it together. Bisi looked up, a tear slipping down her cheek. Thank you, Dotun. I needed to hear that. I think I know what I have to do. That same day, Bisi was cleaning the apartment when she found an old photograph of Tayo and herself from their dating days. They were laughing, leaning against an old car, young and carefree. She felt a pang of nostalgia, a longing for the days when their relationship wasn't weighed down by silent resentments. Just then, her phone buzzed. It was a message from Tunji, inviting her for coffee. She glanced at the photo, then back at the message, and with a sigh, declined the invitation. Instead, she sat down and thought hard about what had led her to this point and her discussion with Dotun. She realized that while Tayo had his flaws, she hadn't exactly been honest either. In frustration, she'd allowed herself to seek validation elsewhere instead of working things out with him. With renewed resolve, Bisi decided that she would have one final heart-to-heart talk with Tayo, not holding back her fears, frustrations, or her love. That conversation would mark a turning point in their relationship, as both would come to realize that maintaining love took effort, but more than anything, it required vulnerability and trust. That evening, she approached Tayo. Tayo, I've been unfair. I let my frustrations build up without talking to you. I should have been honest about how I feel. He looked at her surprised. And I've been too controlling, he admitted, his voice soft. I thought that if we planned everything perfectly, we'd be happy. But I lost sight of what really matters. They talked late into the night, more openly than they had in months. They laughed, cried, and even argued, but they finally felt heard. They both agreed that while financial planning was important, so was enjoying life, and that they could find a way to balance both. Over the next few months, they set new boundaries and made an effort to truly listen to each other. Tayo loosened up his grip on the budget, allowing for some occasional splurges, while Bisi committed to being more mindful of their goals. Their relationship wasn't perfect, but they were learning to walk through their differences rather than let them fester. In the end, they realized that love wasn't just about grand gestures or shared laughter. It was about compromise, honesty, and the courage to confront difficult truths. They learned that no relationship is free from challenges, and sometimes those challenges are the very things that strengthen the bond. Bisi stopped speaking with Tunji, recognizing that no matter how thrilling a distraction might seem, true commitment lay in the love she'd chosen to build. And Tayo learned that there's more to life than numbers on a bank statement. That joy, spontaneity, and trust are just as valuable as financial security. They weren't perfect, but they were enough for each other. And that was the real lesson they had both been searching for.